As a teacher, my goal is to make math fun and accessible for both the students in my classroom and around the world. My commitment to sharing resources with other teachers has led to both the best professional development of my career and national media attention.
Sarah Hagen teaches math without books and with color and things you can hold. She gets the kids in her classes out of their seats. This is just a part of what makes her one of the NPR Ed Team's 50 great teachers.
I believe the students learn best when engaged in hands-on activities. I strive to keep students up and moving around the classroom while keeping the focus on learning.
After walking the class through the differences between cubic and quintic, binomial and trinomial, Hagen shakes things up.
So, you guys ever gone speed dating?
That's how we met.
Math, speed dating. She hands the students slips of paper with a polynomial written on one side and its name on the other.
He has a card that says -6. So I would go up to Colton and I would say, constant monomial, and you're going to check my answer.
And with that, the dating begins.
Are you a 6-degree trinomial?
I don't know how to say the first part, but I know the last.
6-degree trinomial.
6-degree trinomial, okay.
That afternoon in Algebra 2, Hagen came with a creative way to get her students to memorize the quadratic formula.
X equals -b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Thank you.
The assignment, sing the formula from memory to a teacher, a family member, and a third person of their choosing. And witnesses had to sign a form proving it happened.
When students return to their seats, the focus turns to creating our own textbooks. These customized notebooks are filled with specially designed notes to encourage student interaction with the material.
Each day, Hagen hands out a lesson she's written herself or open source from other teachers. It's usually printed on colored paper and requires some kind of hands-on work. Drawing, coloring, cutting out a puzzle in algebra.
Okay, so let's cut as much as we talk.
There's even some basic origami. Students then glue the results into their notebooks. Eventually, the books look like some dog-eared, bulging relics from an Indiana Jones movie. Hagen argues if students are allowed to be creative, they're more likely to remember what they've learned.
My students take incredible pride in this interactive learning process and the completed product. The feedback from both administration and students has been phenomenal.
She does an interactive notebook in her class. She does not use a textbook. And using that notebook, she has the students write down formulas. She has the students write down everything that they need to know. And just like in the real world, when students take a test in her class, they get to use that notebook just like we would when we encounter problems, and we get to open up a reference to look at it.
One of the things I loved about Miss Carter was her way of teaching. We used notebooks instead of textbooks, and everything in that notebook was our guideline to math. We had everything in there from functions to how to solve an equation, polynomials, how to plot a point, everything we were going to need to know. Personally, what I loved about the notebooks was how we were able to color code and put anything that we wanted in there that would help us learn the concept better.
I believe that all students are capable of learning, but at the same time, I realize that different students learn at different paces. My job is to ensure that all students learn algebra, not to punish students who learn math at a slower rate. I've created a system of quizzing in my classroom that encourages students to demonstrate mastery at their own pace. When a student fails a quiz, that is not the end, but the beginning. I work with that student to correct misunderstandings and encourage them to try again. Writing multiple versions of each quiz and grading hundreds of retakes does take a lot of time, but every minute of that time is worth it when I get to see my students be successful.
So it's impossible to fail, pretty much. Like, she makes it where you can't not pass her class.
Hagen's no pushover. If you bomb a quiz or an assignment, you do it again and again. The key, says Taylor Russell, is you're not struggling alone. Miss Hagen's there.
She'll, stay after school, really, really late with you.
Which explains why, at lunch, students come to Hagen's empty classroom just to hang out or ask her for help with an assignment, even if it's for another teacher's class.
Whenever I was a junior in high school, I took pre-calculus at Vo-Tech. When I was in pre-calculus, I would come into Miss Carter's room in the mornings, afternoons, and I was even her aide that year, 7th hour, and she would help me. And even though I wasn't her student, she still helped me. So she cares for all students at Drumright, whether they're in her class or whether they're not in her class.
As a pre-service teacher, I discovered the world of math teacher blogs. I decided I would start my own blog called Math Equals Love to chronicle my student teaching experiences. 900 blog posts and 9 million page views later, I'm still sharing what I'm doing in my classroom with other teachers. The resources I've created for my blog and share with other teachers have been downloaded over 500,000 times.
She has a world-renowned math blog where she even met her husband from Australia, who now also teaches at our school.
On my blog, I write reflections on lessons taught and lessons learned as a classroom teacher. It is so rewarding that this reflection process not only helps me become a better teacher, but helps other teachers around the world create engaging math lessons for their students.
If you see all of the work and her resources that she provides on her site, you can tell that she really connects with her students and wants them to learn to the best of their abilities. I have been fortunate enough to be able to follow her and use some of her resources in my own teaching, and I have to say, I have been so successful in connecting with my students on a much deeper level.
There are things like lessons and classroom activities that she allows anyone to use free and in a very usable form. She is also very inspirational to me. I have taught 13 years at a private school and now the last 2 at a public school, and I needed to adjust my teaching a bit to meet the needs of students who were maybe a little less motivated to learn, and her resources have helped me tremendously to do that.
I realized that while many teachers would like to open their classroom to the world through social media, many lack the time necessary to do so through keeping a formal blog. This is why I created the Teach 180 initiative. 2 years ago, I began encouraging teachers to post one photo from their classroom every day on social media with the hashtag Teach180.
Decided to give it a try myself. Sarah was a great cheerleader in letting me know that even though I didn't think I could remember to take a picture every day, that I definitely could. And in fact, I went a little bit further and ended up combining every 10 days of school tweets into a little micro blog with a blurb about it and a link to my resources. And what Teach 180 did for me was it really encouraged me to step up my game in that I knew that I needed to have at least one tweet-worthy moment every day.
Even though social media keeps me in contact with teachers around the world, my focus remains on becoming the best teacher possible as I can for my school community and students.
We're very, very lucky to have her at Drumright Schools. I'm proud that she's been able to help my 2 children who now will be going to Oklahoma State. I think she has very much helped prepare them for higher education.
And we've had many conversations about our students as well as education in general. We have also talked about ways that we can continue to improve ourselves as educators and finding ways to seek out better professional development opportunities for our district.
I think you can really see that Sarah Carter has a true love for education, a true love for being an educator, and she has a true love for math and to develop that in her students.
As a teacher, I open my classroom to others through the sharing of lessons and downloadable resources on my blog and Twitter account. As Oklahoma Teacher of the Year, I would shift my focus to encouraging other teachers to open their classrooms to the world. Through this process, I would provide support and encouragement. Though I cannot guarantee the results, I do know the possibilities are limitless. Opening my classroom to the world has landed me attention from NPR, TU's Alumni Magazine, a key to the city of Drumright, and an Australian math teacher's husband. I can't wait to see what great things are in store for Oklahoma education as Oklahoma teachers start to open their classrooms to the world. I believe that every teacher has ideas worth sharing. My desire to encourage other teachers to open their classrooms is somewhat selfish. I aim to learn as much as possible from other teachers so that I might become the best possible teacher for my students.